Alright there, it's time for another big update to me, my PNGTuber model bloke thing. If you've seen my video about version 2 from last year, you'll know that this character flapping his gums at you has gone through quite a few changes since its debut in 2022. What started out as an experiment during a livestream became one of my leading personal projects going forward. I've sunk a ton of hours into this bad boy. My ultimate goal has become to make this PNGTuber one of the most animated PNGTubers around. Because, you know, it's in my name, innit? So far, this model has featured a total of 7 poses, with the plan to add even more poses as I go along. Two things got in the way of working on these new poses, however. Firstly, the way I was illustrating these, bouncing back and forth between Illustrator and Firepacker, was proving to be a wee bit cumbersome. More significantly, a heap of freelance animation landed on my lap, with one project directly after the other for about 6 months straight. I'm not complaining, of course, as I gotta eat and have a roof over my head, but it did mean I had to lay off my personal projects for a while there. As soon as the talking fruits and talking bin bags were done and dusted, I hopped straight back into working on my PNGTuber by rebuilding all the current poses again. So, without further ado, it's time for the moment you've been waiting for. Dom diddle da 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 diddle da dee da dee da dee da dee da bom diddle dee da dee bop dee bop dee bop dee da bop dee 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 bop ch bop dee bop dee bop dee bop dee bop dee bop dee bop bop dee bop dee bop dee bop dee bop. I can't sing. This time I've recreated the poses in Flash, with a majority of the elements in vector form. Using Flash makes it easier for me to tweak each frame of the animation to my liking and see the results on a timeline. I'm sticking with my reliable free art program Firepacker for the line art, as I've never liked the lumpy brush tools Flash has, or had, because it's dog old software. Don't tell Adobe I'm still using this. I'm gonna bet that the first major change that stood out to many of you was me fingers. Look at them! Honestly, it's even taken me a little while to get used to them. But why? Why the fingers? Because consistency, mate! Previously, some of the poses had 3 fingers and a thumb, some had 4 fingers and a thumb, and all the first poses I made had no fingers and a thumb, like other mitts. This inconsistency happens a lot with cartoon characters. For example, check out Goofy going from 3 fingers to 4 fingers in this old Disney short. Sometimes 4 fingers look better and sometimes 3 does, depends on the scene for a lot of animated characters. But while there, I was deliberating whether redrawing a bunch of these hands would be worth the effort, especially since no one seemed to point them out. I could have probably got away with just leaving them well alone, but in the end I went with my gut instinct and now every single pose has 3 fingers and a thumb. So more Mickey Mouse than Sonic the Hedgehog, I guess. I gotta admit that as soon as I changed these mitts into full-fledged hands, at first I was kinda spooked out by them. I was so used to how they were for over 2 years straight that it felt a little uncanny. But looking back at how they were before, I'm glad I made the change, to be honest. Let's see if you notice another big improvement. Blink and you'll miss it. Get it? Did you get it? It's the blinking. You see what I did there? Hey. Previously, there was one frame for the eyes open and one for them shut. Open, shut, open, shut. Instantaneous. Now the eyes have an extra in between for the blinking, which makes them lovely and smooth. This did end up making the blinks look a little bit too slow, so to accommodate for this I sped up all the animations across the board by just a tiny amount. The pose with the most improvements is when I'm holding this telephone for when my partner in crime Cherry T is in the room. This pose was introduced as part of version 2 and was very simplistic. Essentially a static image with a blink and some speech emanating from the phone. I redrew this pose almost entirely from scratch. Rebuilding the arms, body and head in Flash meant I had more freedom to animate everything, which I think really brings the pose to life. Also, if both me and Cherry T are speaking at the same time, having Af's mouth not moving as well ends up looking strange. So I've added a variant to this pose where both me and the telephone are speaking at the same time, so to speak. There are a truckload of other improvements across all the poses, so rather than going through all of them in detail, here's a quick side-by-side comparison. With all the old poses improved upon, it was time to finally make some new poses. And guys, I got a little bit carried away. That's right, more than double the poses. Let's go through why I felt the need to make so many. This wave is useful for when people join my live streams and I want to say, right, how's it going? Welcome aboard, hey up pet. Or when they're leaving and I want to say, off your pop, smell you later, toodaloo. This old band is for when someone is talking about something that is new or strange to me. It will happen to you too. I've ended up with 3 pointing poses. Take a look at this. Take a look at that over there. Take a look at that link down there in the description that could help support my work. I'm very unlikely to actually cry during a live stream or something, but this one's kind of more like a little bit of a piss take, like, oh, poor you, oh diddums, a blue blue blue. This one has always been useful for when I'm thinking, but I really needed one that is straight up just dumbfounded, like proper duh. And while it's also good to have a proper enraged expression, sometimes you just want to be a little bit grumpy or disappointed. I am disappointed. And this one has actually become one of my favourites. This is just very useful for if I'm thanking someone for something. Oh, thank you. Thank you for checking out that link in the description. That might help support me. Oh. So after making that extra version of the telephone pose, that got me thinking, what if I made slightly different versions of some of the other poses? A nice quick way of expanding the use cases even more. So I did. For example, the shouting pose never really got used all that much outside of the occasional ah! So now there's this version looking backwards, with talking that's a bit more fearful. Fearful of what though? Hey kids, do you like video games? Confused pose has a variant from where I really want to go. And the grumpy pose has a variant when I really want to grumble. There's only a handful of variants so far, but I might make more in the future. There are now a total of 291 frames of animation, compared to the 90 of version 2, where there was only once 7 commands, now there are 20. Take note that all these require a separate button press. Where am I going to assign all these buttons? Up until recently, I was using my keyboard's numpad to command my PNGTuber. This was proving to be a bit of a nuisance though, clashing with shortcuts in OBS Studio and other programs. Also, holding a number while clicked on any text window would lead to long strings of game controllers can also be used on VeadoTube Mini. So I messed around with the idea of using my Wii U Pro controller as a command the poses. But this would be nigh on impossible to control if I also just so happened to be playing a video game, holding 2 gamepads at once. But that's no good. Thankfully, VeadoTube Mini is also compatible with MIDI controllers. I didn't even notice this was a feature until recently. Cherry T just so happens to have a small MIDI keyboard knocking about, so I plugged it in and gave it a shot. It felt a little bit silly using a musical instrument to change expressions, but simply put, this opened up the possibilities of having a ridiculous amount of poses. So not to hog my fiance's keyboard, I ended up buying my own MIDI controller, a Korg Nano Key 2, which I found on eBay for about 25 quid. Bargain! This device is even smaller and has all the notes as equally sized separate buttons, which is much better suited to my needs. While it has fewer buttons than the keyboard, there's still 25 buttons on this cute little thing, and it's so lightweight I can just sit it on my lap and tap away while drawing or playing games. Perfect. I do have to be pretty careful how hard I hit these buttons though, as yeah, they're pretty clacky. Clacky, clacky, clacky. None of this would have been possible without the power of this small slab of buttons. Once upon a time I was wondering if I'd need one of those expensive Stream Deck things, but my advice would be to pick up a cheap and cheerful MIDI controller instead. You know, if you decide to make a PNGTuber with a boatload of poses like a madman that is. Who'd do such a thing? I have 5 buttons left on this Korg Nano Key thingy. Am I gonna need even more buttons one day? I could upgrade to an even bigger MIDI controller with this many buttons. No, calm down. You don't need that many buttons. But they even light up in different colours. Stop it. Aww. VeadoTube Mini, as you may have seen in my previous videos, is the free program I use to sync my voice to the animations in real time. Honestly, it's so fun and easy to use that it's become one of my favourite toys. That and this Death Egg robot anyway. The program just so happened to very recently have a massive update, launching version 2.0. This is a complete rebuild, no longer running on the Unity engine. This means it requires nowhere near as much computing power and runs miles quicker and smoother. There are also a bunch of new features, such as noise reduction settings for your mic, scaling and zooming. There's also avatar offsets on the X and Y axis. You can change the background colour to anything you want, and you can even put a picture back here if you so decide. Like this, random Sega Saturn box art for a game called 6 Inch My Darling. The ability to hotkey opposed to a combination of buttons, but most fun of all, full customization of the movement your character makes. You can now jump, shake, rotate and wave about in any duration or velocity you like. There is still a full paid version of this program in the works which I cannot wait for. But this update is such a quantum leap over the previous version, my favourite toy just got even better. If you use VeadoTube Mini yourself and haven't updated yet, get on it. Your computer's CPU will thank you for it. I hope this video about my process will inspire others to design PNGTubers of their own and get really creative with it. It's such a fun and rewarding experience seeing your character come to life via your voice in real time. Honestly, give it a go. Even if you just doodle something up quick or even just use existing animated GIFs you found on the web. Install VeadoTube Mini and see how instantly the results may surprise you. By the way, how do you like the new locale? I'm currently floating around in space. Hopefully I'll stand out better from the background now, compared to those brown stripes from before. This rebranding on my channel and these improvements to my PNGTuber are ongoing projects that I'll continue to beaver away with any spare time I get. I have many more videos planned for the near future, so stay tuned. Until then, toodaloo, and thanks for watching. Hit the bell and thingies and